Cody has been cheating on me. I'm going to divorce him, I declared as I presented the divorce papers along with evidence. Oh, so you finally noticed? What a useless housekeeper you were. Get out of here. I had just shown Cody's parents evidence of his infidelity and announced my intention to divorce him. They had been harassing me daily, and I was ready to leave immediately. As I was packing my things, I heard loud voices from downstairs. Hey, what's with all these cars? There must be 30 luxury black cars out there. I have no idea what's going on either. When I heard their voices and checked outside the window, there really were 30 black luxury cars parked outside. When I went downstairs, I found my in-laws looking terrified, not knowing what was happening. Don't worry, I arranged for these. Please don't be so surprised. After all, they belong to my company. My name is Julia. I'm turning 30 this year. I married Cody, who's the same age as me, last month, and we're in the midst of newlywed life. While we haven't thought about children or the future yet, we've been building a happy home together as newlyweds. Would you like to try that new French restaurant this Saturday? Sure. Our neighbors were talking about it. Is it popular? I heard their seafood is amazing. I'll make a reservation later. Even after marriage, we both continued working, with weekends off. However, I stayed busy with housework even on weekends, and Cody respected that about me. We maintained a balanced life, not interfering too much with each other while still making time for our marriage. But about 6 months after our wedding, Cody's behavior began to change. You know, now that we've settled into married life, I'm thinking we should move. The lease on this apartment is up this year anyway. You might be right, it could be time for a move. Do you have any specific places in mind? I'd like a house with a yard. Probably in an upscale neighborhood for safety. We had been living in Cody's apartment since getting married, and while we discussed moving after things settled down, a house in an upscale neighborhood would be quite expensive. While safety was important, I didn't think we needed a house for just the two of us, so our opinions differed. We don't really need a house, do we? We're not having children anytime soon, and I want to focus on my work, so I don't want to spend too much time on house maintenance. I wanted to focus on my career and had decided not to have children for a few years. While living in a house might make sense eventually, I didn't think now was the right time. However, Cody seemed to think differently. I'm not saying we have to buy one, so what's the problem? But compared to an apartment, the housework will be much more demanding. There's yard maintenance too, and I think it would take considerable effort to maintain while we're both working. Then we can just hire a housekeeper. It's not that expensive. Cody talked about it as if it wasn't his problem. I wondered how much he was planning to spend per month. While we both worked and I earned enough that we could afford to rent a house in an upscale neighborhood and hire a housekeeper, I wanted to avoid unnecessary expenses. I wanted to save for the future, so I opposed Cody's idea. I understand what you're saying, but don't you think we could wait? With your income, we'll be fine. I'll look into the details. With just that, Cody returned to his room. Nothing had been decided yet, but he was moving forward on his own. While he had shown some self-centered behavior when we were dating, it had gotten much worse recently. A week later, I've arranged to view this property this weekend. Are you free? What? This is a mansion. It's not that grand, but it has a yard and a large balcony. The property Cody showed me was a house big enough for an extended family. It had so many bedrooms I couldn't even count them all, and it was far too large for us. While his show-off personality might be attracted to a big house, I couldn't accept such unnecessary expenses. We're not renting a place like this. It's way too big. Why are you being so stingy? It's fine if we think about the future. Thinking about the future meant we should be saving money now, not spending unnecessarily. But Cody was only thinking about the present. Anyway, we're not renting a mansion like this. Let's find something more reasonable. Don't say that. I've already made the viewing appointment. Then I was practically dragged to view the house. The house itself was beautiful and luxurious. It was 2 stories with a large living room on the first floor and a yard big enough for dogs to run around in. With 5 bedrooms, it was definitely too big for just 2 people. This is wonderful. Let's move forward with the contract. What are you saying? Just leave it to me. Without getting any approval from me, Cody started moving forward with the contract. Even though it wasn't completely finalized, I was furious about this. Since I couldn't start an argument there, I decided to confront Cody after we got home. Hey! What do you mean about the contract? Don't make decisions on your own. Don't get so angry. My parents will be living with us too. I was shocked by the sudden mention of his parents in the conversation, as I hadn't heard anything about this. If his parents were going to live with us, such a large house made more sense. However, he should have discussed this with me first. My parents are getting older, and we can't just leave them alone. That may be true, but why didn't you discuss this with me beforehand? It's already been decided, so there's no need for discussion, right? I've already told my parents. I was so shocked by Cody's statement that I couldn't find words. He and his parents had already discussed living together without consulting me at all. This was incredibly selfish. Why are you making such important decisions on your own? This isn't just about you. So you're refusing? That's not it. We're married, so we need to discuss these things. Why did I have to explain something so obvious? I was getting increasingly irritated. Common sense didn't seem to apply to Cody. You're my wife, so don't complain about what I say or do. If I suddenly brought my parents to live with us without telling you, wouldn't you be angry? It's the same thing. Listen, there's a difference between men and women. What I say goes, that's just common sense. I never expected to see such male chauvinism in this day and age. I might understand if I were a housewife, but we both worked, and I earned more than him. Cody's income alone wouldn't be enough to rent a house like this. I couldn't understand how he could be so arrogant. Anyway, it's already decided. And with your income, this should be no problem, right? I'm telling you not to make decisions on your own. I've already told my parents we're taking this place. Are you going to disappoint them with your selfishness? I was left speechless. When I met Cody's parents during our marriage greetings, they were quite difficult people. They seemed to look down on me, and I didn't think we'd ever get along. That's why I didn't want to live with them and didn't want to cause problems. Why don't we just help your parents financially? I'd be willing to contribute to that. Suppressing my anger, I offered an alternative to living together. No, as I've said multiple times, living with them is already decided. You don't want them complaining about you again, right? I'll cover the living expenses, but you pay the rent. Just don't tell my parents that. Let them think I'm paying for everything. I sighed deeply at Cody's selfishness from start to finish. However, seeing no point in continuing this conversation that would go nowhere, I reluctantly agreed. I worked anyway, so I wouldn't have to spend much time with his parents. I decided to try to minimize my interactions with them. 6 months later, after moving in, life with my in-laws began. Why are your things in this large room? As a daughter-in-law, you should obviously take the smallest room. There were 2 large rooms and 3 smaller ones on the second floor. Since I was paying the rent and his parents were the ones staying with us, I had thought the 2 larger rooms would be for Cody and me, but this angered my in-laws. Please don't make us angry. You clearly don't understand your position. The smallest room is plenty for you. Be grateful you even get your own room. I couldn't understand why I had to take the smallest room when I was paying the rent. While I was irritated, there was no point in arguing with them. It was better to give in than start a fight. I understand. You should think about these things without being told. While the smallest room was still adequate for one person, I silently moved my belongings, telling myself this was better than arguing. While it was an awful start from day one, I usually worked outside the house, so I wouldn't have to interact with them much. I tried to stay positive and not let stress build up as I started this new life. However, my expectations were betrayed. Cody? Aren't you coming home yet? I'm working. Don't call me, I'll probably be home late. Soon after moving in, Cody became busy with work and started staying out late regularly. While I had planned to spend time in my room after returning from work, my in-laws made me do everything. They ordered me around, telling me to do this and that, and got angry if I stayed in my room, saying, "Don't rest." Initially, they were supposed to handle the housework since they were always home, but they didn't help at all, and I ended up having to do everything after returning from work. When I suggested hiring a housekeeper, they strongly opposed it. They insisted housework was a daughter-in-law's duty and wouldn't listen to my opinion. I was reaching my limit with the stressful days. So I decided to talk to Cody directly about it. I need you to talk to your parents. When you're not here, they treat me like a housekeeper. They're probably just trying to be caring. Family time is necessary, and you shouldn't just go straight to your room when you get home. While family time might sound nice, the reality was that I was just being used as a housekeeper. I wished he wouldn't put such a convenient spin on it, but Cody wouldn't take me seriously. Gradually, his parents' treatment of me got worse, and I started regretting marrying Cody. Are you all right? You don't look well. If something's troubling you, you can always talk to me about it. My father and I worked at the same place, so we saw each other daily. Having watched over me since childhood, he probably noticed even subtle changes in me. However, not wanting to worry him unnecessarily, I kept quiet about the situation at home. I decided to try talking to Cody again. If there was no room for improvement, I would consider living separately. Fortunately, we didn't have children, so that made things simpler. I had become thoroughly disgusted with the current situation. Then one day, "Can I talk to you for a moment? I have something important to discuss." My father approached me with a serious expression as I was about to head home from work. Thinking it might be something important about work, I followed him to the conference room. "It's about Cody. He's having an affair. The other day, I saw him walking hand in hand with a woman. I couldn't believe it, so I followed them a bit, and they went into a hotel." When I heard this from my father, my mind went blank. No way. While I couldn't believe Cody would betray me, I also couldn't believe my father would lie. Here's the photo and video evidence. What you do with this is up to you, but I'll support you completely. Looking at the evidence my father provided, I was convinced of Cody's infidelity. While I was shocked and heartbroken to tears, I also felt an anger that words couldn't express. After that, I returned home, but Cody said he'd be late due to work. So I called his parents to talk. "What do you want?" calling us out when we were relaxing in our room. "This is about Cody's affair. I'm going to divorce him." I said this while presenting the evidence photos and divorce papers. "Oh, so you finally noticed? What a useless housekeeper you were. Outsiders should leave quickly." Apparently, his parents had known about Cody's affair. They truly had only thought of me as a housekeeper. While I was deeply disappointed, these people would no longer be part of my life, so it didn't matter. I decided to leave this house immediately and contacted my father. He said he would come pick me up, so as I was hurriedly packing my things, I heard loud voices from downstairs. "Hey, what are these cars? There must be 30 luxury black cars out there. I have no idea what's going on either." When I heard their voices and checked outside the window, there really were 30 black luxury cars parked outside. When I went downstairs, I found my in-laws looking terrified, not knowing what was happening. "Don't worry, I arranged for these. Please don't be so surprised. After all, they're my company's people." When I said this, my in-laws were dumbfounded. They seemed to have no idea what was going on. You see, my in-laws thought I worked part-time at a supermarket. Cody, with his pride, had wanted to hide the fact that I earned more than him from his parents. However, I actually owned a car rental business. Since we also dealt in luxury vehicles, the company owned many high-end cars. Wait a minute. What do you mean you arranged this? It means exactly what I said. I asked my father to have these company cars come pick me up. You own a company? While explaining everything to them when they couldn't grasp the situation was a bit troublesome, I decided to tell them everything, wanting them to feel the full shock of learning who I really was. I wanted them to hit rock bottom as revenge for everything they'd done. I haven't mentioned this before, but I own a car rental business. And all these cars belong to my company. What's this about? We never heard anything about this. You should take that up with Cody, not me. He's the one who instructed me to hide everything because of his pride and ego. When I said this, my in-laws were again speechless, looking around in confusion. They probably never imagined I earned more than Cody. Since I didn't buy luxury brands or spend much money, they never suspected anything. Well, I don't use much money personally, and my salary isn't that high. So you're not making much profit? That's not true at all. I just don't care about personal spending, and we're actually planning to open another branch. When I told them the company name, they took out their phones to look up my business. The company's size and revenue are easy to find. When they saw this, their eyes widened as they looked at me. I can't believe you manage such a large company. Are you really the CEO? I told you I am. And I'm the one paying for this house too. What? Cody was just a regular employee and didn't have the means to rent such a mansion. His parents seemed to understand nothing about their son. There's no way Cody could afford a mansion like this. Of course, after the divorce, you'll have to leave this house. Wait. Please reconsider the divorce. We'll scold Cody severely about the affair. It's too late to change your attitude now. The fact that you mistreated me and that Cody cheated on me won't change. It was too late for apologies now. I had no intention of showing mercy to my in-laws or forgiving them. Making them take full responsibility for what they'd done was only natural as adults. There was no reason to coddle them, they weren't children. Please wait. Won't you reconsider? Our son's affair was just a fling. We guarantee it wasn't serious. We might have been a bit harsh with you, but that was because we wanted you to grow. My in-laws were trying to justify their actions and prevent the divorce at any cost. Once they learned that the person they had looked down on and used was actually the CEO of a large company, they naturally didn't want to let go. However, nothing they said would change my mind. Just as I was about to end the conversation and leave, my father, who had been waiting outside, came in, having run out of patience. What's taking so long? Sorry. I was explaining to them what I do since they didn't know. My father seemed to understand the situation at a glance and looked at my in-laws with exasperation. He probably found it pathetic how they were trying to change their tune now that money was involved. So, what's your purpose here? Please, anything but divorce. We'll talk to our son about the affair and make sure it never happens again. You seem to be misunderstanding something, but shouldn't you apologize first? My father spoke with exasperation and then sighed. For good reason, they were completely in the position to beg for forgiveness, yet they hadn't properly apologized once. They kept making excuses and trying to justify themselves. Instead, they should be acknowledging their wrongdoings and apologizing sincerely, even getting down on their knees if necessary. That's the proper attitude when asking forgiveness for one's misdeeds. It's basic social etiquette. First, you apologize for what you've done wrong. Don't you even understand that? My father was probably exasperated by my in-laws' complete lack of understanding of basic social norms. Having been an executive at a major corporation, my father was very particular about social etiquette. We're truly sorry. Everything was our fault. We admit it and apologize, so please forgive us. Please, anything but divorce. My in-laws reluctantly got down on their knees at my father's urging. They were prostrating themselves to prevent me from divorcing Cody. In other words, blinded by money, they had thrown away their pride and were on their knees. It was truly pathetic, and I was determined never to become like them. How disgraceful. Don't you feel ashamed about doing anything for money? But you told us to apologize. I said to apologize if you were truly remorseful. Your apology isn't a real apology. My in-laws grimaced at my father's words. They probably couldn't understand what he meant. However, I understood perfectly. An apology means acknowledging and apologizing for one's wrongdoing. There shouldn't be any ulterior motives. If you're apologizing to gain something, it's not a real apology. My in-laws were just putting on a show of prostrating themselves to prevent Cody and me from divorcing, not sincerely apologizing for their mistakes. This conversation is going nowhere. There's nothing more to discuss. Shall we go? Yes, staying here any longer would be a waste of time. Let's go. After this exchange with my father, I took my belongings and left the house. My in-laws kept following us until the end, but we just got in the car. The sight of the cars driving away one after another was impressive. By the way, why did you bring so many cars? I thought you might need to take all your belongings from the house. Well, it ended up being quite an effective performance. That's true. I think they deeply regret how they treated me now. On the way to my parents' house, I told my father about all the harassment I had endured from my in-laws. I explained how we ended up in that mansion and everything about life afterward. That must have been really tough. Well, then we need to make them pay for what they did. Let's consult the company lawyers first. But what exactly are we going to do? We'll need to talk to the lawyers first for details, but first. My father was probably even more enraged than I was about the harassment I had endured. He said he would get thorough revenge, and immediately contacted the lawyers to start discussing specific plans. While we were meeting to discuss how to proceed, I received a call from Cody. He had probably heard everything from his parents and was rushing to contact me. Hey! What's this about divorce? It's all a misunderstanding, let's meet and talk. What? A misunderstanding? Even now, you won't admit what you did? It really is a misunderstanding. I had shown his parents the evidence of his affair, so he must have heard about it. I was furious that he was still trying to make excuses. Perhaps it was natural that he couldn't apologize, being the child of such parents. There's nothing to discuss in person. I have evidence of your affair, and I'm divorcing you. Of course, I'll be demanding compensation. I've consulted with lawyers, and you have no escape. That's all I have to say. You know the standard compensation amount, so make sure you have the money ready. I said just that and hung up. When Cody kept calling persistently afterward, I temporarily blocked his number. With evidence of the affair in hand and lawyers on our side, we proceeded with discussions about how to handle the divorce and compensation. A week later, I went to the mansion with my lawyer to discuss future arrangements. First, please sign the divorce papers. We'll also be claiming compensation for the affair and for the malicious harassment. I told you. I won't divorce. And claiming compensation is ridiculous. These are our terms. If you don't comply, we're prepared to take this to court. The lawyer spoke briefly, presenting only two options: accept our terms or face a lawsuit. We weren't demanding unreasonable compensation, just claiming appropriate amounts and asserting our legal rights, so we were confident we'd win if it went to court. Of course, you'll also have to leave this house. By the way, Cody, your affair partner is your coworker, isn't she? When I said this, Cody was quite shocked. On my father's advice, I had hired a private investigator during this week to investigate everything about him. Cody had been having his affair during work hours. When we investigated, we found that his affair partner was a woman in the same sales department. Cody had been making false claims to the company to leave during work hours for his affair. This wasn't just about our marriage anymore. You can't take company money while skipping work to have an affair. What you did is unacceptable to your company too, so we'll be informing them about this. Wait a minute. There's no need for that, is there? Cody would not only have to pay significant compensation for divorcing me, but now faced the possibility of losing his job too. He had probably finally realized the foolishness of his actions. However, I was determined to corner him completely. You'll probably be fired, but why don't you support each other with your affair partner? That's impossible. She just joined the company recently, and I was the one who aggressively pursued her. That's why I'm covering her compensation payment too. You're truly rotten to the core. But that's none of my business. Whatever circumstances existed between Cody and his affair partner, they had to take responsibility for their actions. If their relationship fell apart and their lives went to ruin, it meant nothing to me. That's all I have to say. You have 1 week to respond to our lawyer. If we don't hear back, we'll file a lawsuit. Please. Please forgive me. I don't have money for compensation. I have no savings, so I won't be able to live. I'm truly sorry. I'll get on my knees, anything, please forgive me. Until the very end, Cody and his parents begged for my forgiveness, but my heart wasn't moved at all. In fact, I was angry at how they were trying to escape responsibility even at this point. Don't make me repeat myself. I have no intention of forgiving you. You can suffer for the rest of your lives for all I care. I stated this clearly and left with the lawyer. A week later, they responded to our lawyer. They said they couldn't pay in full and requested installment payments. However, since we didn't trust them, we insisted on full payment only. There was no response from them for a while, but after we threatened legal action, they somehow managed to make the payment. Perhaps they had borrowed money from somewhere. I heard they had sold all their assets and maxed out their credit cards and consumer loans to gather as much as they could. For the remaining amount, they apparently turned to friends and relatives, and eventually even loan sharks. Now they're working part-time and day labor jobs to pay back their debts, and I think they deserve to suffer for life. After this incident, Cody's relationship with his parents broke down completely and they cut ties. His parents are reportedly living in an old apartment, struggling with monthly debt payments. Cody's affair partner was also fired from the company, and with no skills, she's having trouble finding new employment. Although Cody covered her compensation payment, she's been abandoned by her parents and friends and is barely getting by with part-time jobs. As for Cody, word of his affair has spread throughout the industry, making it impossible for him to find work in the same field. Even trying to find work in different industries, no respectable company would hire someone who had been fired, so he ended up working at quite a black company. With the huge debt from covering both compensation payments, he's apparently working every day just to repay his debts, barely able to afford proper meals. As for me, after the divorce, I focused on my work and successfully expanded my business. My father continues to support me as my right-hand man, and I'm living a fulfilling life. I don't know if I'll marry again, and life is unpredictable. However, from now on, I intend to live without sacrificing myself. I have many reliable people around me, and those who do wrong will always face consequences. That's why I want to live my life properly and enjoy it,